Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cheeky Geeky. I am Monet,
I'm Otogu.
and it's just the two of us today. Nate had some stuff come up, but we still love her. We were supposed to talk about Supernatural today, but I'm a total flake, and we're not going to talk about Supernatural today.
Well, unfortunately, some of the people that know a whole lot more about Supernatural could not make it, which sucks, but this is
Yeah.
why you have backup plans.
We're going to talk about all things Halloween.
Halloween!
Halloween. Halloween's my favorite holiday. Not just because of its religious significance to me with Samhain, but just because Halloween in general is fucking badass.
Oh, see, it like
Uh,
here all the way to Christmas, but the Christmas stuff has to do with food.
so a little. Let me Google. We're doing this episode on the fly. I apologize. I'm not sorry actually. Uh Let me pull up something on Google. History of Halloween. I know most of this, but I want to make sure I'm telling it right. So, according to History.com, Halloween is a history celebrated each year on October 31st. The tradition originated with the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which is spelled Samhain. It is Gaelic. So if you ever see it, it's not pronounced Samhain, it's Samhain. Like you're sewing in something. Samhain. When people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. In the 18th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor All Saints. Soon, All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve and later on Halloween. Over time, Halloween evolved into a day of activities like jack-o'-lantern, carving, trick-or-treating, festive gatherings, donning costumes, and eating treats. Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. The Celts, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. This day marked the end of the summer and harvest and beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. In addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of otherworldly spirits made it easier for the druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the long, dark winter. To commemorate the event, druids built huge sacred bonfires where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. This is where we get Wicker Man from.
I didn't know
During the
that.
celebration, huh?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where we get Wicker Man from. During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. When the celebrations was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening, preventing from the sacred bonfire, preventing to help protect them during the coming winter.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
how to talk. Words are hard.
It's
By
okay.
43 AD, the Roman Empire had conquered the majority of Celtic territory. In the course of the 400 years that they ruled the Celtic lands, two festivals of Roman origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. The first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day to honor Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and the incorporation of this celebration into Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween. All Saints' Day. On May 13th, 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV, there's a name for you,
Well,
dedicated the
apparently 4
Pantheon,
people had the name.
right? Dedicated the Pantheon in Rome in honor of all Christian martyrs, and the Catholic feast of All Martyrs' Day was established in the Western Church. Pope Gregory III later expanded the festival to include all saints as well as all martyrs and moved the observance from May 13th to November 1st. So this is where we start to see some of the Christian overtaking of pagan festivals and holidays.
Well, I mean, and this is very common where they wanted to convert people of non-Christian
Yep.
faith, so they added at least pieces of these festivals and beliefs and stuff to get them to convert, among other things.
That's how the Christians appropriated Yuletide.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. And then there's also, in Mexico and places like that, Day of the Dead, which is very similar, where they believe their ancestors crossed the plane to the mortal world, and I believe that's November 1st I believe it's November 2nd.
1st. Day of the Dead. Yeah, it's November 2nd.
Yeah.
And actually we're seeing the appropriation happening in real time because you go out to the stores now and you see Day of the Dead stuff in with the Halloween decorations.
Well, yeah, and I think that has to do with so many, immigrants from Mexico. We've seen that. Well, I mean, not we, because we're not that old, but I've seen it when it comes to Italian stuff, where now it's just part of America, where before it was viewed as very ethnic, where now it's not.
Yeah. So back to this. By the 9th century, the influence of Christianity had spread into Celtic lands, where it gradually blended in with and supplemented other Celtic rites. In 1000 AD, the church made November 2nd All Souls' Day, a day to honor the dead. It's widely believed today that the church was attempting to replace the Celtic Festival of the Dead with a related church-sanctioned holiday. All Souls' Day was celebrated similarly to Samhain, with big bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes as saints, angels, and devils. The All Saints' Day celebration was also called All Hallows or All Hallowmas, from the Middle English All Hallowmesse, meaning All Saints' Day. And the night before, the traditional night of the Samhain in the Celtic region began to be called All Hallows' Eve and eventually Halloween. Halloween comes to America. The celebration of Halloween was extremely limited in colonial New England because of the rigid Protestant belief system there. Halloween was much more common in Maryland and the southern colonies. As the beliefs and customs of different European ethnic groups and the American Indians meshed, and a distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge. The first celebrations included play parties, which were public events held to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other fortunes, sing, and dance. Colonial Halloween festivities also featured the telling of ghost stories and mischief-making of all kinds. By the middle of the 19th century, annual autumn festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated everywhere in the country. In the second half of the 19th century, America was flooded with new immigrants. These new immigrants, especially the millions of Irish fleeing the Irish potato famine, helped to popularize the celebration of Halloween nationally. So we can thank the Irish for the holiday being as widespread as it is. The history of trick-or-treating. Borrowing from European traditions, Americans began to dress up in costumes and go house to house asking for food or money, a practice that eventually became today's trick-or-treat tradition. Young women believed that on Halloween they could divine the name of or appearance of their future husbands by doing tricks with yarn, apple parings, or mirrors. In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghost pranks and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. This is where we get the popularity of Halloween parties. Parents were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening or grotesque out of Halloween celebrations. Because of these efforts, Halloween lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones by the beginning of the 20th century. By the 1920s and 30s, Halloween had become a secular but community-centered holiday with parades and town-wide Halloween parties as the featured entertainment. Despite best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague some celebrations in many communities during this time. By the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited vandalism, and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. Due to the high number of young children during the 50s baby boom, parties moved from civic town centers into the classroom or home, where they could be more easily accommodated. Between the 1920s and 1950s, the centuries-old practice of trick-or-treating was also revived. Trick-or-treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. In theory, families could also prevent tricks by being played on them by providing the neighborhood children with small treats. Thus, a new American tradition was born and has continued to grow. Today, Americans spend an estimated $6 billion annually on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday after Christmas. Speaking of commercial success, scary Halloween movies have a long history of being box office hits. Classic Halloween movies include the Halloween franchise, based on the 1978 original film directed by John Carpenter and starring Donald Pleasence, Nick Castle, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Tony Moran. In Halloween, a young boy named Michael Myers murders his 17-year-old sister and is committed to jail only to escape as a teen on Halloween night and seek out his old home and a new target. A direct sequel to the original Halloween was released in 2018, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Nick Castle. A sequel to that, Halloween Kills, the 12th film in the Halloween franchise overall, was released in 2021. This year, Halloween Ends is releasing. And it's supposedly the mark of the end of the Halloween franchise. Considered a classic horror film down to its spooky soundtrack, Halloween inspired other iconic slasher films like Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. More family-friendly movies included Hocus Pocus, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, and It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. There's more on the website, but we're not going to get into it.
Yeah, I think that's. I think we got the full history there, and then some.
We got the full history. We don't need to go into all the details of all the ways that we currently celebrate today, especially since we're mostly going to be focusing on costumes and TV movie media for this episode. We don't need to talk about the superstitions and stuff like that. Although, however, I do want to say one of the biggest superstitions, and since we're both animal lovers here, is black cats are bad luck. And if you notice that around this September, October, shelters do not adopt out their black cats, that is because a lot of people will use this as an opportunity to rid the world of the bad luck that black cats bring about.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that because it has gotten really bad. Where most of them put a bar. But listening to you, tell the history, it reminds me there is this movie. I guess it's been lost to a lot of people, even though I love the movie. I got the VHS just so I could watch the movie. It originally was on Cartoon Network. It was the Halloween Tree, where the main character was voiced by Leonard Nimoy, and he takes these kids. I'm not going to get into the whole plot, but these kids are trying to save their friend, and this guy who kind of looks like that guy from Tales from the Crypt, but if he had skin, through the history of Halloween, and talks about a lot of the periods.
What did you say the movie was called?
The Halloween Tree is really
Okay,
good.
I'll have to look for it. But I going back to the cat thing, I have two black cats, my own, and it's actually to the point where shelters are screening people year round about
Really?
adopting black cats. Yes. I had to show proof that I had when I adopted Layla, I had to show proof that I currently had a black cat. And I was like,
Wow.
I've had Shinedown for 10.5 years. He's my baby, he's my everything. I've always had a love of black cats. Had a black cat growing up from the time I was 5 until he passed away about 15 years ago. I was like, the cat lived, he was like 17 years old. 17 years old. My mom and I have always loved black cats. And but yeah, it's a horrible thing, and I want to bring it up because I want to impress upon our listeners that superstitions are fun, but don't make them turn you into an asshole.
Oh yeah, I
Don't
mean,
don't be hateful or hurtful of an innocent creature just because someone tells you the color of its fur is bad. Because it's not. My cats are the sweetest, most loving creatures that walk this planet. So this is our PSA to don't be a dick to black cats.
oh yeah, I mean, Nova, when we were, in a spot, okay, we're ready to be able to adopt animals because both of us wanted to. He was like, I want to get a little black girl kitty. And we went to the shelter,
Oh,
and no, it was destiny because in this cage were brother and sister. One was a little black girl cat, and the other one was a larger
oh,
orange male cat. And I was like, I want an orange cat. So
oh.
yeah, and I mean, she is so, so sweet. And then we have Raven, who is a big, fluffy black ball of death. She is one of the ferals that we take care of, and it's like, I just want to squeeze you and love you, but I know you don't want me near you, but I'm gonna admire you from afar.
Yeah. Come here, shine down.
And they didn't ask
Come
us
over
any
here, say
questions.
hi.
They were overpopulated with Bellinota, where it got to the point where usually they would only offer, like, if you adopt a kitten, you can get the mother free. It's like, no, you can get two kittens if you want a second one.
Aw.
Well, this was in
You can probably hear my kitties.
Rochester.
Okay, you can probably hear the bells on my kitties' collars as they're running around playing.
Yeah, I really can't.
So, but yeah, Halloween brings about all kinds of superstitions. Ouija boards are another superstitious item. And I don't know about you, but I believe the superstitions about Ouija boards.
I won't go near a Ouija board.
I have a Ouija board. I'm looking at it right now, actually. Um, it's one of the few superstitions that I actually believe in. That's because I've had some really creepy things happen when I've used Ouija boards. So I definitely believe that there's a power there. But going back to that history, we talked about some of the things that had come of the different integrations. One of my favorite things to do as a kid was bobbing for apples.
Oh, see, I was too OCD for that. Even back then. But now I live in Vegas, and because of that, they offered a lot of different things for kids just because of safety concerns. And one of them was,
Yeah.
it was, I don't know if they had it in other malls, but the Boulevard Mall, which was not in a good area, like even 20, 30 years ago, all the stores, they'd have somebody stand outside their store and they would hand out candy, and you'd get in line and basically go trick or treating throughout the mall. It was very safe, because you knew the candy wasn't messed with. And stuff like that. And then there was also park events from the city. There was one where it was in Sunset Park, and like the fire department was in on it, local radio stations, the police station, and they made a lot of different things. And the main thing I remember was they had, because there was trees and stuff, they had these weird alien blow up thingies, like these aliens, because Vegas, aliens, Area 51, and people were screaming and scared. I could not stop laughing. Like I was little and it was supposed to be scary, but yeah, I couldn't stop laughing.
That's funny.
It was adorable.
My growing up, my local malls in my area did the same thing, trick or treating wise. You could go in the mall and trick or treat. We had costume contests. I loved Halloween. I've always loved Halloween, so much that my mom would help me save up and plan my costume and put my costume together throughout the year. And it was not uncommon that by the time Halloween rolled around, I'd spent $300-$400 on a costume.
Damn, girl. Yeah, it's so you never have you ever experienced, I did this when I was a teenager, which we'll get into teenagers trick-or-treating, I'm sure, but where I had these bin of all my old Halloween costumes and other stuff throughout the year, and I just threw stuff together like when I was a teenager to make a costume. Did you ever do that?
Nope, my costumes were always elaborately planned.
So
sometimes I had years where I had 2 or 3 costumes.
Dang. Now, did your mom also like videotape it and stuff? Because my parents, they had a camcorder, and my dad would record. I still have these VHS.
She didn't record stuff, but she took lots of pictures. There was my favorite Halloween year was the year that Star Wars Attack of the Clones came out, and I was obsessed with Anakin Skywalker. I had 3 different versions of Anakin Skywalker costumes. I had a cheap one that we picked up at Walmart that was just like a bodysuit that I wore to the Ice Rinks Halloween party because it was easy enough that I could ice skate in it. And I actually won a prize for that one because I had a lightsaber with me, and I was the only Star Wars character at the party that had a lightsaber with them.
How are you gonna dress up like Star Wars and not have a lightsaber? I mean, at least if you were Jedi or a Sith or whatever.
Like, there was a Darth. I remember that distinctly. There was a Darth Maul there. He was excellent. He did all the makeup and the horns and everything. Like, this dude went all out. He didn't have a lightsaber though.
Why?
And he didn't have a lightsaber though because he didn't want to risk dropping it on the ice or something. So I understand that he didn't bring it for safety concerns. I was just like, mine hooks to my belt. I don't have to worry.
I mean, exactly. Even if, it's one of those that, compacts into itself, the ones they have for kids.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you don't want to be carrying it, flailing it around on an ice rink, but at least it's there.
Yeah. So that was the first costume I had that year. The second costume I had was a more pieced together out was more pieced together, with like tunic, and I got my first pair of spandex pants, and I got my first pair of leather boots. And it was a very casual Anakin casual. I say cosplay because the level of detail that I put in my Halloween costumes is exactly what the fuck they were. It was cosplay. And then the third one was a pair of leggings with the brown boots, and my grandmother made me an actual Jedi robe. So the second costume I wore to school, and then the third costume, most elaborate one, is the one that I wore trick or treating. And that was my favorite. That was my favorite Halloween year. I actually got done trick or treating, and then went back and changed into my Queen Amidala from the previous year, and went back and hit all of the houses that were giving out the cans of soda and large candy bars. Because I was that kid.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I was that kid.
So I gotta ask you, speaking of which, um, now, this is a very divisive topic. Well, two of these are divisive topics. How do you feel, and did you do this yourself, of, teenagers trick-or-treating, quote-unquote, being too old to trick-or-treat?
I trick-or-treated all the way up until I was 23.
Okay, because the reason why I ask is, and this is something that I never really understood why people got so pissed off about it. Because, every year we do have we have some adults coming to trick or treat, and it's like, and through the history that you were reading, yourself, of, this whole tradition of trick-or-treating, some of it got started to prevent vandalism. And it's like, of all the things, because, adults complain about, oh, well, the kids, they're doing all this other stuff. It's like, all the other things they could be doing, the stuff you're complaining about, and they're here getting candy. Right. So that's something I never understood. Of, you complain that the kids are, not getting out, and when they do, they're getting into trouble. Well, they're just getting free candy.
Right. No, so I by the time I became a teenager, well, when I was 13, I was in jail for Halloween. So I didn't trick or treat that year. But when I was 14, I was living with my father at that time, and they were very hypocritical Bible thumping Christians. Wasn't allowed to trick or treat. I was the person that stayed home and gave out Bible tracts.
What?
You don't know what Bible tracts are? It's these little pieces of paper that tell you all the reasons why you're going to hell if you don't start worshiping God.
Yeah, I didn't know they had a name, but what?
They're called Bible tracts. You see them most commonly now. They look like large amount dollar bills, and you see them folded up on tables as tips for servers.
What the? See, that kind of stuff irks me so much, just due to my own religious beliefs, which we won't get into. But I mean,
saw the most recently was about 6 months ago. I was at Bob Evans, and I saw a server get excited because there was $100 bill on the table. Mind you, this had been like a party of like 8 or 9 people. So $100 tip was, appropriate, but from the way that I'd seen them behaving, I knew she probably didn't expect much of a tip from them. And then I watched her pick it up, and I watched her face fall as she realized that it was telling her that she was going to hell unless she asked God into her life. And she's just so deflated. She's like, but I'm already a Christian.
Exactly. I mean,
I felt so bad for her that I left the amount of my bill in my tip plus an extra $20 because I felt so genuinely bad for her.
I mean, that's just disgusting. I mean, because there are different religions that hand out literature, and most of it is just informational. If you're interested, we'll do Bible studies with you and stuff like that. But, and I mean, that's fine. And it's like, if you're interested, fine. If you're not, it's not some threatening thing. But stuff like that, and I've gotten handed stuff like that because, again, live in Vegas. There are people that stand out on the strip and hand stuff out. I mean, it's the most unchristian, disgusting thing of...
Yeah. I remember the Bible tracts that I handed out to trick-or-treaters when I was 14. They were shaped like jack-o'-lanterns. And on the front side, it said, Happy Halloween. And then you open it up, and it says, if you continue to celebrate, you're going to burn in hell.
What the?
And I'm like, why are we giving these to children?
This is the most... I mean...
So after that, by the time Halloween rolled around when I was 15, I was living in a very small rural community with my aunt and uncle, and where I live is such a small little community that nobody cares how old you are. If you want candy, they'll give you candy. So I was able to trick or treat up until I was 18. And then when I was 18, I was still living here when I was 18, so I went out and trick or treated when I was 18. And then my aunt was like, "You really shouldn't have done that. You're an adult now. It's not appropriate." I'm like, "I still won the costume contest at the park."
Oh.
Nobody cared. But by the time I was 19, I was living back home at my mom's house, and I took my sister out trick-or-treating. I wore a costume because, I'd done the costume thing every year of my life. Even giving out Bible tracts the one year, I was forced to dress up as the Virgin Mary.
What?
We won't talk about it. Anyway, so I took my sister. I had no intentions of trick-or-treating. By, like, the 10th house, I had my own bag of candy because people had waved me up, like, come on, come get some candy. I'm like, oh, no, I'm an adult. Come get some candy. I'm like, okay. So I ended up trick-or-treating at age 19, 20, and then by the time I was 21, I was working at Cedar Point, and Cedar Point had its own trick-or-treating thing for its employees. So I trick-or-treated 21, 22, and 23 years old because I was working at Cedar Point.
Yeah, I mean, like, here, we have people, and that's something that I do when I'm handing out candy. It's like, if you show up on my door, here, take candy. And when when there was this Savers, close to me, I would go there. They'd have bags of toys. I'd take the ones that I wanted, usually Power Rangers and, Marvel stuff. And all these other toys that I didn't want, I'd save them up all year. And, with the kids, it's like, okay, well, take a candy and take a toy. And just the way their face lit up. And when I went to my one friend's house, because she has kids, that whole area is, like, some areas, no longer decorate stuff like that. It's like the whole area is extra, and it's so amazing. This one, and this is pre-COVID, but this one house, I guess for the past 20 or so years, always had hot dogs, and so they have decorations and a grill going, and they're handing out hot dogs. You know,
we had one guy. I remember growing up when I was little. We had a guy that always served pretzels with beer cheese.
Oh, you're making me hungry for stuff I can't eat.
Every year he served a different kind of food. One year it was pretzels with beer cheese. Another year it was homemade bat cookies. Cookies that were made to look like bats. They were made with the molasses cookies with licorice and all kinds of different candies. They look like bats. Another year he gave out pizza. Like every year it was something different. It was something cool. Like the pizza was a Halloween themed pizza.
It's a spooky
and it had
pizza.
It was a spooky pizza, and it was just so cool. Like, it was a homemade pizza, and he used food coloring to make it look spooky. It was awesome.
See, I mean, stuff like that's
cared.
awesome.
And nobody cared because it's fun. Nobody was worried about, he's poisoning the kids. Nobody cared about that. We never checked our candy.
See, we had to here.
My mom would look it over to make sure that none of it was, already opened. But if it didn't look like it hadn't been opened, she'd, okay, have it.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's talking about that. That is a concern. People will do bad stuff to candy. I do remember a girl in my class brought candy in for lunch the day after Halloween. She opened her candy and she found a razor blade tucked into it.
What the hell, man?
Yeah. Like, she had broken it in half to share with a classmate, and when she ripped it in half, you could see the razor blade.
Dude.
I was 10 when this happened, and I went home, and I was like, Mom! And I was like, what? I'm like, Jennifer found a razor blade in her Halloween candy! I shouldn't have said anything because that prompted my mom to throw away all of my candy.
I mean,
but she made up for it. She made up for it. She went to the store and bought me like 5 bags of clearance Halloween candy.
So I mean, in the end, you were rewarded for your honesty.
In the end, it all worked out. But I just, to this day, all those Reese's peanut butter cups that got thrown in the trash just hurts my soul. But yeah, that's something. One thing that irks me this time of year is all those PSA announcements about THC laced candy. People, drug addicts giving out their LSD candy and their Molly, and I'm like,
I could tell you. Now, mind you, I do.
Expensive. Nobody's giving your kids free drugs.
Exactly. I mean, I don't do anything, but it's like, if I did, why the hell would I spend money on your kids?
Right. And yeah, like this, my favorite one to date is the weed brand candies that you can get.
Nobody's giving out at their edibles, man.
Sour Patch Kids and stuff like that, with they look the same, but they're not. They're laced with THC. Of course they're laced with THC. It's called Hot Patch Kids. why do you think somebody's gonna give your child a bag of Pot Patch Kids?
That's a
No,
very good
that bag
question.
costs like $20, and you get like 5 pieces of candy in the bag. Nobody's giving that to your children.
It sounds like you know. Oh, you're killing me.
I live 15 miles from the nearest dispensary. I know. I've never been in a dispensary, but I have friends who've been in dispensaries. I know. Um,
You would think I know due to, living in Vegas, but apparently I am the innocent one.
but no, I promise you, nobody's giving your children drugs. Now, there have been reports of candy being laced with, um, like rat poison, stuff like that. Needles and bleach and razor blades and stuff being found in candies. That is something to be concerned about. That is something worth mentioning. However, nobody talks about that. The hype is your kids are gonna get drugs. No one, you're not. Your kids are not gonna get drugs. But definitely check your candy because not everybody out there likes children. And so, unfortunately, some of those people who like children dislike children to the extent that they want to hurt children. And Halloween is a good chance for them to do that because there's no way to trace where it came from. So, even though I was part of the generation where my parents could just let me loose and I could just go out, hit up all the houses, and safely eat my candy as long as, I would pull my candy out. My mom told me, if you pull your candy out of your bag and you want a piece, if it looks like it's been opened, throw it away. That's as far as she went with it.
Same.
But yeah, so I was part of the generation that didn't have to, be 13, 14 years old and still have to have mom and dad go trick-or-treating with you. I started trick-or-treating on my own by the time I was 9. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to grow up like that. However, I recognize that the world has changed. So if you take your children out trick-or-treating, please make sure you're safe. Please make sure you're checking your children's candy. And please don't let your little ones out. No matter how safe you think your neighborhood is, times are very different.
Oh my.
And there are so many reports. There are so many reports of children getting kidnapped or hurt on Halloween because their parents think, "Oh, everyone's gonna keep an eye out."
They do not. Like,
no.
I live.
They don't do that anymore.
I live like really, really close to an elementary school, and I can't tell you how many times it'll just be little kids walking around by themselves, not even, okay, well, take your little brother or sister out trick-or-treating, so there'd be like a teenager, with kids. It's like, no, I saw this, he had to be maybe 6 to 9 if he was like a late bloomer or something, getting on the bus by himself to go home, like a public transit. And I'm like, oh, maybe I was the sheltered one, which I was, but damn.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that Halloween has become an excuse or reason for creepy assholes to hurt children.
We just can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things, no. Anyway, getting back to a
non-depressive thing.
Non-depressive topic. I last night went over to our friend Cheryl's house and had a movie party. We watched the new Hellraiser, and then we watched a movie called Willies Wonderland. Hellraiser speaks for itself. Willies Wonderland is a movie. If you have ever been creeped out by the animatronics at Chucky's, you're gonna love this movie. If you are familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's, you're gonna love this movie. It's a Nicolas Cage movie about murderous animatronics inside of a closed down children's party place.
Hard pass. Hard
And Nicolas
pass.
Cage has 0 lines in the entire film.
Of course he
And
does.
it is campy and hilarious, and it is top notch. Top notch. Like it's regarded as a B movie, but it is definitely top tier.
But it doesn't cast spells through the TV.
No, it doesn't cast spells to the TV. Let me tell you something. Nothing casts spells through the TV.
Oh, so I have not seen it yet. I want to see it. We've been too busy. But I saw that and it reminded me of this one lady that claims that while her husband was off, like in Iraq or something, that she got pregnant because the dates would not match up from a 3D television.
It was from a 3D movie in an adult theater.
Yeah.
She got pregnant from it and tried to sue the male porn star for getting her pregnant.
Like what the hell?
And then when the baby came out, I think the DNA test revealed that it was like the neighbor or something.
Oh. Well, I mean, the person that's claiming this whole witchcraft through the TV sounds like someone who would make you hand out those little pamphlets. I'm sorry.
Okay, so a little history here. I've read a couple different articles about what happened. So this lady who's been a Christian for about 6 months or so.
6 months.
Yes. Let her children watch Hocus Pocus. The new Hocus Pocus movie that came out. And I guess her son started screaming, "No, no, no, no." And I guess the movie scared him. I don't know how. The movie very clearly scared him. But she took it to interpret that the movie was casting spells in her house, filling her home with devils and demons, and possessing her child. Because he got scared.
What the hell?
So now she's on this social media crusade to get people to stop watching Hocus Pocus and other Halloween movies because it will hurt your children and invites devils and demons into your home.
See, this kind of stuff hurts my brain because I mean,
as a practicing witch, I can promise you with my whole heart, I swear on every deity that I worship, there are no spells that can be cast through your TV.
Well, you need to get with the 21st century, girl. You use that Wi-Fi's and hacker radiation. Because I can tell you, as someone in the IT field, people think all this weird stuff comes through their cables and
Yeah. Anyway, I have watched Hocus Pocus 2. I've watched it a couple times. Before we get into Hocus Pocus 2, let's talk about Hocus Pocus 1.
Oh.
That movie is such a classic. It is a staple of the Halloween season.
Oh yeah, and it did not like do well at first, but then just picked up. And I mean,
didn't.
I love Bette Midler. Like that I was sold at Bette Midler.
One of the reasons why it didn't do so well is because it wasn't even released at Halloween time. It was released in like July.
Who the? I hate when they do that.
Because Disney didn't want it to compete with Nightmare Before Christmas.
I mean, I could understand that. I really could. I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas too, man.
Yeah. But yeah, it did. Disney didn't want it to compete with Nightmare Before Christmas because Nightmare Before Christmas was supposed to be their holiday movie that got you from Halloween to Christmas, which it did. But it didn't want this distinctly Halloween movie to compete with it
Well, I mean, it.
because they didn't think that Nightmare Before Christmas would do so well if it was released at the same time as a Halloween movie because people would see the Christmas part and say, "Oh, this is a Christmas movie," and just completely forget that it's a two holiday film. So they released Hocus Pocus in the middle of in July of that year.
I mean, I can understand why they think people are like that because people are like that.
Yeah,
But I mean, it does have a feel, and don't get insulted with this because it is a compliment, but it does have a feel of being a Disney Channel movie. But
it
back
does.
then, they were so good that it's like,
Yeah.
okay, they're good, so whatever. Like Halloween Town, it has a very Halloween Town feel.
Yes. Yes. The Disney movies, the live action Disney Channel movies of the mid to late 90s and into the mid 2000s were really good films. Like, I compare them to the stuff that we have today, and it's just like, it feels Disney-fied.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the stuff was wholesome back then, but it wasn't wholesome to the point where it's going to give you cavities. And that's where we're at today. It's so wholesome. It's so sweet. It gives you cavities. I hate it. Disney is the reason why I have so many cavities.
Well, I mean, there's like, oh, well, we can't scare the children, and it's like this stuff isn't
Do you
scary.
remember the movie Don't Look Under the Bed? That shit was terrifying.
I don't remember. Don't look under the bed.
Movie gave me nightmares. It's on Disney Plus. You should watch it. That shit was absolutely terrifying.
Well,
Uh, Phantom of the Megaplex was also pretty
oh,
scary.
I love that one, but that's because Phantom of the Opera is my
Right.
jam.
Under Wraps. These movies, yes, they were wholesome, fun movies with a good message, but they weren't they weren't shy about wanting to have scary elements to scare children.
Well, I mean, there was this one, I don't remember the name, but it was considered lost media for years. It was a Nickelodeon movie, and it semi recently came back up.
Hmm.
I forget what it's called though.
Do you know what it's about?
I don't remember. I really don't
Because I know
remember.
there was the TV show Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh my, that right there. Some of them were
And
fine, but some of them gave me like the kid with the spells through the TV set, like that level shit where I could
yeah,
not watch him again.
um, yeah, some of those episodes were absolutely terrifying. The dollhouse episode where the girl goes missing and her friend figures out that, oh, she went missing because
Oh,
she got sucked into the dollhouse. I was terrified of
yeah.
dollhouses for years.
Well, then there's the one where it's like a pendant or a book or some shit that's like hidden in the floorboard or a sideboard or something, and if you get it or something, like the zombie thing comes out or this
Yes,
specter. Oh, it's called Crybaby Lane. It's a
yes,
horror film from 2000.
okay. Another episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark that scared the shit out of me was the Ghastly Grinner.
Oh, I remember. Is that the one with the comics or no? Because that one was
Yes,
creepy.
that was the comic book. That was the comic one.
Yeah. Like, I really liked it, but it was
Um,
creepy as hell.
I as an adult, I still like when that episode comes on. If I'm watching Are You Afraid of the Dark? I always watch it in the dark. I had to turn a light on for that one.
Well, I mean, even some of the Goosebumps, because Goosebumps was a TV show back in the day, even some of those
Yep,
were creepy.
some of those were creepy too. Um, but yeah. Anyway, back on to Hocus Pocus. We got sidetracked. The original Hocus Pocus was very corny. It was very lighthearted, but it wasn't afraid to touch on creepy aspects. Like the whole they eat children to stay young and beautiful. That's a terrifying concept.
Oh, yeah. I
You know,
mean,
that
they're after the
they
children.
right, they're after the children,
Like, predatorily after children.
Right, like within the first 5 minutes of the film, you see them try to start sucking the soul out of little Emily. I mean, like the movie was not afraid to go there. Um, it was very whimsical. It was, it had its musical montage. It was fun. It even depicted teenagers smoking.
Well, I mean,
It
basically
it
acting like
brought up,
teenagers.
yeah, you know, I remember the first time I watched it. I looked at my mom. I said, "What's a virgin?"
Oh my god.
My mom, being the mother that she was, raising me the way that she did, she's like, "It's somebody who hasn't had sex." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I remember going back to. I remember we watched it in class, and somebody says, "What's a virgin?" I'm like, "Somebody who hasn't had sex." I got detention.
I mean,
But yeah, the movie wasn't afraid to have adult humor. It wasn't afraid to incorporate the adult humor in with something that the kids were going to enjoy, which is something that Disney desperately lacks on their family movies these days.
well, they're
Um,
trying to be ultra PC and family friendly and not, insult anybody.
but they're still managing to piss off the conservatives, and I love it.
Yes.
Anyway, so Hocus Pocus 2 attempts to recapture that charm. I've watched it twice. I liked it. Like, I enjoyed myself watching it. However, I didn't feel that it was very memorable. Uh, there was a lot of things about it that just didn't match up with the original film. The big plot twist feels like a giant cop out, and the way they tried to relate it to the original film just it feels like they didn't know what to do, so they just took the easiest route and hoped that we accepted it. And I don't accept it. Um, the best part of the movie, besides the besides the Sanderson sisters, was the flashbacks with the Sanderson sisters as children. We get the backstory of how they became witches,
That sounds freaking adorable.
and it is a fun little trollop through history. Um, that is very adorably done. And the kids that they cast to play the younger version of the sisters were phenomenal. They stole the show. So yeah, don't believe the lady that says it's gonna cast spells into your home. It's a cute movie. It's worth watching. It's definitely it's definitely left open for more for the franchise to continue.
Well, I mean, they've been talking about making Hocus Pocus 2 for decades
Years.
at this
Yes.
point. Like fan
Yeah.
trailers and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Thora Birch was originally supposed to come back. The only reason she didn't come back, and this required them to completely change the script, is because of scheduling conflicts.
Who was she?
She was Danny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I hope that they continue it, and I hope that they are able to bring some of the originals back. The movie definitely had a passing of the mantle feel to it, and when you see it, you'll understand why I say that.
Yeah, because some of us haven't seen it.
Yeah.
We won't mention my name.
Go.
No, but I mean, there is one other like scary ass thing that I saw as a kid that I did want to touch on. And that is, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it was from Tales from the Dark Side.
I don't think I ever watched Tales from the Dark Side. I watched Tales from the Crypt.
Oh yeah, I watched that too. But I mean, it was apparently it's rated R, and it's like no shit, it was scary. And not designed for kids. But I don't think it had a rating like back then, or it wasn't widely known. I don't know. It was scary and creepy, and the gargoyle section like gave me nightmares. Anyway.
Do you remember on Disney the show So Weird?
Kinda.
That it's on Disney Plus. All 3 seasons of it. It was the first thing that I watched when Disney Plus released.
Really?
Yes, I loved that show growing up. And some of those episodes were terrifying. I can't really give away the terrifying episodes without spoiling the main storyline. But yeah, some of those episodes really were creepy. The ones with Will-O-the-Wisp were creepy, and the Banshee. Those are the only ones that I can really speak on without giving anything away. But the show didn't just touch on scary stuff. It also touched on like folklore legends, like a tribe of people who just don't age, or who age very slowly, who live thousands of years and are nomads because they have to keep moving. In the show, Fee's mom Molly was befriended one of the kids, and it's such a movie. It's a very touching episode, actually. It's not a creepy episode. It's a very touching episode. But yeah, the show was phenomenal. I loved it. And I watch it. I'll be getting ready to watch it again here in the next couple of days. Because I watch So Weird, and I watched So Weird, Are You Afraid of the Dark, and Goosebumps right in the week leading up to Halloween.
So I gotta ask you, because we're and I will split this for the podcast version of this. But if you could make one recommendation of something that you're pretty sure most people would not have seen, what piece or movie, TV show, whatever would you recommend?
Obviously, everything that I've already talked about just now.
Well, one more.
One more.
Give me one more, baby. I know you can.
Let's see. If you can get a hold of it, there was a Ronald McDonald Halloween special movie.
What?
With Ronald McDonald and friends, about them going into a haunted house. And it scared me so much as a kid. I absolutely loved it. And I haven't seen it since I was probably like 5 or 6 years old.
That's freaking adorable. Okay, so mine, and mind you, you will have to look it up as the Halloween that almost wasn't most likely, because they had two names for some ungodly reason. But when I was little, one of the highlights was going to Video Park, which is like Hollywood Video took over them, and Blockbuster and stuff. But it had a
Yeah.
theme where you'd go in, and the horror had like this haunted house, and there was Dracula in it, and there was like Freddy in the window. It was amazing. And then the action section looked like Indiana Jones, and the games were in a yellow submarine. But they had this VHS of the night Count Dracula saved the world. It is super cheesy from the 70s. It's very short. But it's not something you would really expect. I don't want to give away the plot because it's it's so short, but it does make you think, as far as, and you wouldn't think it does because it's like cheesy and has disco and stuff. But it's where the quote unquote villain that they have to save Halloween from actually has a valid point, as far as wanting to be included. And I mean, seriously, it's like, I don't know, 30 minutes. Watch it, and it seems very woke for its age. Thinking about it right now, I'm like, damn. But I won't say more.
Okay, I'll look it up. If you are interested in watching the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald and Friends, you can find the videos on YouTube. Just search the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald. The one that I was talking about is called The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald Scared Silly.
If you found it, post it in the Discord, because I post the full version of the Halloween tree, where you could watch it for free on Tubi.
Okay.
And I'm gonna see if I can find the other one, and that's one of the reasons why you should join our lovely Discord. Shameless plug.
Right? While we're doing shameless plugs, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Soap 419.
Oh,
I recently actually just got a new soap from them. They are the home of the original wiener cleaner. So if you need a clean ween, definitely hit them up. www.soap419.com. They have all kinds of adult novelty soaps, including the Handy, a bag of dicks, and a bag of shit. It's all soap. Comes in different unique smells. All of the smells smell good. They've got awesome names for the wiener cleaners. Weapons of Ass Destruction is one of my personal favorites. They do events for different holidays. They do a Pride package during Pride Month. And I believe they've got some stuff going on for Halloween this year. They also have children's soap and then just regular, everyday, soap that, isn't really novelty, but is still really good. My favorite is the lavender and dragon's blood scents that they have. My children absolutely love the kids' soaps. I got them the unicorn ducky soap, and they absolutely loved it. That's www.soap419.com. And as a Cheeky Geeky listener, you get 25% off your order.
Yay!
I did my shameless soap plug
at the end, but it's okay. Everything's upside down. And there is one more shameless plug, and that is a event that's currently going on in the Discord. If you play Minecraft, we have launched the beta of Aonn Craft, which is a private Java/Bedrock server where you build something that's Halloween themed to enter, and the winner gets a $5 gift card.
Ooh, cool.
And at this point, if you submit a jack-o'-lantern with a sea pickle, that is technically Halloween. I don't know how well you will do, but hey, jack-o'-lantern with a sea pickle. I mean,
I'm also going to post the link for the the Halloween episode of the Ronald McDonald thing. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on our Facebook page as well.
I saw that link in the Discord already. He looks terrifying. Like not even the episode, just Ronald. Why?
Vanilla Ronald.
This is why the Hamburglar has problems.
And for those who are wondering, we're releasing this episode early because the episode's supposed to come the last Sunday of every month, but the last Sunday of this month is the day before Halloween. And how can you enjoy their Halloween episode and take our and follow
Movie
our
advice.
suggestions if it's the day before Halloween? So we're releasing this stuff a few weeks early, but also because we didn't give you an episode for September, and we're sorry.
Adulting sucks.
Adulting does suck. Adulting's the fucking worst, man.
You can't even go trick or treating without people giving you
Right?
looks.
Right? Oh, I didn't get to tell you guys what I'm doing tonight. So, up in Michigan, in Wayne County in the Detroit area, there is this old asylum called Eloise. There's actually a movie about Eloise and goes into the history of the asylum and everything. Highly suggest watching. It's got Elijah Dushku in it from Buffy. Anyway, I'm going up to Eloise tonight with a bunch of friends from work to get our asses scared off in the haunted houses that they've got this year.
Nice.
And I'm super excited.
Yeah, I don't know if we're really doing anything, spectacular. Because we did have Halloween off, then we had a shift change. But we are going to be slowly putting up, because Nova is sick and, I handle a lot of stuff now. We're going to be starting to put up our Halloween decorations.
I've got my decorations up already. I will post the video of my house in the Discord and on the Facebook as well. I did it on a TikTok. I've had my house decorated for over a month.
See, we wanted to, but we've just been so busy. But I don't know if we're gonna have Halloween plans besides handing out candy. We're trying to get the day off. I'm also getting with my one friend and seeing if she has, any Halloween stuff that we can do outside, just because I still do, and I get shit for this, but I still do not socialize in closed or very public spaces due to getting COVID at least 5 times due to my health problems.
I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah, it's magical, but that's why I'm one of those people that still has a mask and the sanitizer and stuff, just because how easily I get it, even though I have all the boosters and the inoculations and all that stuff. But I'm gonna see if she's gonna be doing anything outside, because we live near this thing that's having a Halloween event, and she has kids.
Okay. You can find me personally on social media. Just search Monet DeLouvre. Really, I'll pop up on Facebook. My author page there, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Wattpad. Monet DeLouvre, Monet R. DeLouvre. One of the two will work. Obviously, you can find me on the Discord for Team Aonn. I have my own Discord channel now. It's kind of dead because I'm still on my video game hiatus, but I will be coming back to it, I promise.
Yeah, with that, are you rejoining for that WoW expansion that keeps playing on YouTube all the time?
Yes, I'm going back for Dragonflight.
Oh.
I was supposed to go back for Wrath Classic, but I logged in, and all of my friends are all guilded up in guilds that aren't accepting casual players, so I don't really have anyone to play with on Classic anymore. So,
Aw.
um, yeah, they want people who can be hardcore raiders, and I just don't have the time for it. My work schedule alone doesn't allow me to do it.
That sucks, man.
So, yeah. But it is what it is.
Oh yeah.
So, where can we find you on social media?
Basically everywhere too. I finally hopped on the bus with the whole TikTok thing. I am trying to do better of putting posts on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram with this new setup that I got, but it's coming as quickly as it can. But basically, search Team Aonn or Otogu. We have a big enough footprint where stuff comes up. But yeah, check out teamaon.com. Join our Discord. Seriously, we are doing a little bit of a push on the Discord. So join us and talk and be friendly because we have stuff.
We've talked about it before. We're still trying to figure out how we would make it work. We're also trying to bring Cheeky Geeky to TikTok.
Ooh, maybe like a. Do you know about TikTok Live? Because I know absolutely nothing.
I know about TikTok Live. You have to have at least 1,000 followers before you can start doing lives. So
Uh,
I would like to get Cheeky Geeky on there, get some followers so that we can start doing live podcast episodes on TikTok.
that would be hot.
Yes. So we need to start pushing that on our personal socials. Um, and I'm going to make sometime this month, I'm going to make a TikTok account for Cheeky Geeky. Because I'm the
Okay,
one that has access, because I'm the one that has access to the Cheeky Geeky email. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start dumping some money into Cheeky Geeky promotions on TikTok. Because I have money to make ads and stuff. So, yeah, that's something we're going to do. So hopefully by next season 4, we'll be able to do live episodes on TikTok.
that would be nice.
That would be awesome.
Oh, definitely.
So, you can find Cheeky Geeky currently on YouTube through Team Aonn, through the Team Aonn's Discord, Facebook, and Twitter.
And Facebook. Oh wait, you said
On
Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook twice. Facebook squared. Unlimited
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes. Next month we have our annual toy episode, our Merry Geekmas, and we will be bringing you information on this season's hottest toys for Christmas. We will see you guys then. Bye!
Bye bye.